Hey, what is up, guys? Today I want to show off the HX80, which I just picked up. It's going to be my main camera just until I pick up a G7 again. Really loved the G7, just everything about it. I just wanted the camera with the better kit lens. So until then, I've picked up my secondary camera, which is going to have to be my main camera with 1080p, 60 FPS. Until then, but it's okay because I've used an FZ300 with the same size sensor, and I do have to say I made a good decision going with this one. The lens isn't as fast because the aperture can only open up to 3.5, whereas compared to the FZ300 it's 2.8 throughout the entire zoom range. But the sensor I do think works better. The pictures, in at least in JPEG, might be due to the processing or something, but the pictures look better right off the camera. It doesn't have RAW, so I can't shoot RAW with this camera. It's not really what it's meant for anyways. It's mostly for video and then just quick snapshots here and there. The G7 will be for that. This does have this does have a lot of manual modes, or a lot of selectable modes. So there's aperture priority, shutter priority, program mode, manual mode, video mode, panoramic, which I think you can do a full 360 with the panoramic. The auto plus, or whatever that is, the little auto symbol with the plus next to it, that mode sucks. My wife uses auto to take pictures with this camera, and she's tried both, and the ones coming out of the auto plus little setting, they suck. They're blurry, they're not very good. I have to say the intelligent auto mode, the green icon, works much better. Now, this does only close down to f8, but that's similar to the FZ300. It's not that wide of a range. I had the G7 first to test it, and it went to 22, which was great. But this definitely means that I might need to look into an option for an ND filter. As for shooting outside, it has a very clear OLED EV that I've used the G7, and it's like huge pixel count. I think this is pretty close. At least to my eye, I can't really tell the difference. I can see the details that I need to see to get the shot that I want. The flash that pops up, it's basically just a fill flash. There's no tilt. You can't bounce it off the ceiling or anything like that. So it's just a fill flash, which outside, it did a really good job. I have a picture of my brother. It did a good job filling out the flash with the harsh shadow that the sun was producing, thanks to his hat. The function mode lets you manually focus. Unfortunately, you can't manually focus in video, but the manual focus is there. You select small, medium, large, and then you move it around the screen. This is lacking, I think, and I think a lot of Sony cameras need to start changing to touchscreens desperately, because it is an advantage that I had with the FZ300 and the G7. You can tap the screen, boom, quick, it focuses, take the picture. It's parts of a second. It's not even, it doesn't even take a whole second. You just touch the screen, it's focused. This, you need to go into the function setting, change the focus point if you need it to be different. Otherwise, center the shot and then take the picture, I guess. It works just fine that way. You can use the zoom toggle to zoom in and out while you're reviewing pictures to go all the way out to days of the month. You can delete whole days and stuff like that. The slowness of the lens doesn't allow you to get very good bokeh, and when you zoom out, it's up to, I think once you get past like 200 millimeters, 300 millimeters zoom, then you can't go below, or you can't open the aperture past like 6.4, which with the FZ300 it was 2.8 through the whole range, which really helped pictures, and it really needs that at the zoom range. But for the zoom shots that I'm taking with this camera, they turn out pretty good, and I haven't needed to open the aperture up, any more than that. I haven't seen a need for it yet. It's just, like I said, snapshot type pictures. It's not like I'm out taking professional photography, with this camera. It's mostly video and some snapshots. When the screen's flipped forward for a selfie, you can't stop the timer. You can't turn off the timer, so you have to wait for that 3-second timer. Unless you flip up the screen, put it back down until it flips the other way, and then you can take the picture and it'll take it right away. Otherwise, you have to wait for the 3-second timer. I do have to say my complaints, one complaint, and I have one huge plus, and the complaint would be that the tripod mount is far too close to the video out. The video out should have been further away. I don't really care why they did it or what their reasoning was. They should have put the camera together in a way that the tripod mount could have been either centered right on the lens, which would have been great and would have put it further away from the video out, or move the video out somewhere. Because right now, when you have it on a tripod, you can't video out unless you're going to make or buy a very special tripod mount attachment or something to hold the camera far off to the side, and then it doesn't work out that great. Now, the big plus is that the battery, according to Sony, is only supposed to last like 380 shots or 50 shots or something like that. I think they do their testing at like everything turned on, the EV on, the flash on, all this stuff going every shot. Because I've gone right over 1,000 shots and still had battery left. I've done hours of recording 1080p, 60 FPS, and I haven't had any issues with the battery dying. And I've even tested this without my battery pack attached to it. I went a whole day at the park without my battery pack, and by the end of the day, I still had half a battery on the little indicator. So I still had battery to take pictures, and by the time I get to my car, I can plug it in and start charging it off of my car USB charger, which is a great feature that you can charge the camera and you can still use it. You can still turn it on. You can still take a shot while it's plugged into a charger. I don't think it keeps charging while it's recording, but that's probably to stop a heat issue from arising while taking video and charging at the same time. While recording video, I have noticed that the autofocus is very quick and doesn't hunt a lot, but you have to keep your subject in the middle. It tends to focus on the middle. You can use the center button on the center of the dial, hit it once, and then it brings up a little box. You hit it again when you're over what you want it to track, and it tracks really well. Just make sure that whatever your subject is, don't let it go out of the frame, because then it won't track it. You'll have to reset up the tracking again. This also has the exposure compensator, and I've noticed that the best thing for me to do is to just leave it in either shutter priority or aperture priority, and then use the exposure compensator. If you put it in manual, you can control both the shutter and the aperture, but then you can't control the exposure compensation. And I don't really understand why this is a thing, because I would love to be able to control all three from the manual mode, and that's what I would use to shoot, but you can't. So basically I leave it in shutter. It can pick its own ISO, it can pick its own aperture, and then it turns out really well that way. I deleted the audio, but the dial's very clicky. It's very, you know when you've changed it, is what I'm trying to say. It clicks, you know when you've changed it. So the dial's very nice. I'd have to say the front grip is much appreciated. On a small camera like this, I can imagine, I mean, I've picked up the WX500. Without that grip, it feels like you're going to lose it. And with this front grip, it at least helps. And what I do when I record videos, I flip the screen up, I put my thumb behind the screen, and I notice that the body gets hot when my thumb's there. And the only time I've ever had a temperature issue where it was extremely hot, it didn't stop recording, but it was extremely hot, was when I had the screen completely shut. So I'd say at least open it up so there's some kind of airflow, some kind of cooling going on behind the screen, between the screen and the body, because that is a hot spot. That's where the sensor is, and then you got a screen right behind it. So just pull that up, and that works out. So that's pretty much it, guys. This is going to be my main camera from now on. So 1080p, 60 FPS. My secondary is now going to be my old G3, because it does 4K, and I can use that, crop in on 4K. It's what I shot this video with, actually. I apologize for some of the lighting being off. I'm still getting my lighting set up correctly for this new set I've created. Product stuff like this, I think the next one I do is going to be an alien gear holster, probably. But I plan on doing these a little bit more, you know, not to waste my effort to build this set, which took me a couple days to do. The primary shots will be on this Sony, which I think looks fantastic, and you guys can see some of those shots in the next video I'm going to put out, where I went to the park with my brother, that I actually talked about in this video, where the battery didn't die. I'd recorded, I think, 2 hours of footage I got to scrub through, and you can see that footage in the next video, and then from then on, this will be my main camera, and I hope it works out great until I get my G7. Then it'll be even better because I love the 4K on that camera. So see you guys in the next one, and like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. See ya.